Winter Rose, written by Panwadee, Ponglada K.Ittimakin. Episode 20. Let the baby sleep, Pamela told Jared softly, seeing her son going close to the twins, General and Viridia, fast asleep on their blue and pink mattresses. Go and play with Faye. Come, I will take you to see your sister. Pamela got up from the sofa and took her son's hand before turning to tell her husband's sister, wait here. Enrique is coming to pick you up, isn't he? Yes. When he gets here, ask someone to come to the nursery and tell me. Come on, Jared, let's go to see Faye. Yes, Mommy. Pamela and Jared left the sitting room, hand in hand. Left in privacy, Irene looked with love and pride at her little sweet twins. 1 month had passed since they had been born, and they had grown quickly. Viridia's name combined those of her grandmother and mother, but in appearance, she resembled her father, with black hair, white skin, and big eyes, and a long nose in her beautiful oval face. General was quite unlike his sister, and Irene could not stop herself from lovingly stroking the soft golden hair of her baby boy. At first, she had been puzzled as to whom he could possibly resemble, with his blue eyes, long nose, and full lips. But then she remembered her mother telling her about her Canadian father. Irene had wanted to search for him for many years, but had never dared to, fearing rejection. Looking at her son's face, she felt emboldened to start the quest to find him. I won't tell anybody just yet, but wait until that day comes when I can meet my real father. Irene thought. Irene sat quietly for a long time, musing over all that had happened in the past month. Her babies had made her feel that her life was complete, filling the void she had previously felt and quenching her thirst for love from those around her. Now she had her babies, her husband's love to encourage her, and the affection of the younger brother, who had previously scorned her. Irene was cradled in a tender mesh of family ties for the first time in her life. She cast her mind back to the moment when Enrique had walked towards her, carrying a baby son and daughter in the crook of each of his strong arms, as she had rested in the recovery room with tears rolling down her cheeks. Karen, Hirali, and Katana had all been there to witness the scene, beaming with happiness. I realized that it was her babies and her love for them that had made her forget all the problems that had weighed so heavily on her heart, and agreed to go back to Rio. Deep in thought, Ivy did not hear the sound of the door opening. A familiar aromatic fragrance pervaded the room, and she turned round, but not before someone came to kiss her cheek and take her in his arms, refusing to let her go. Did you miss me? Ivy almost answered. I had no time to miss you, because since coming back to Rio, Enrique had never allowed his wife and babies to be out of his sight for very long. On the days he spent in the office, he phoned home many times to check that all was well, until inwardly she felt sorry for another woman. However, she would have to accept any accusations of being possessive about her husband, as she wanted him to spend time with his children, and she never mentioned the name of that woman. Let me go, otherwise the babies will wake, Ari protested softly. If you don't make a loud noise, there is no list of that. Well, did you miss me? We have only been apart for a few hours. Why have you come back so quickly? This morning you said that you'd have to go to Sao Paulo on business. The business was soon settled, so I flew back quickly. I was missing you unbearably. See, thought Enrique to himself. With every breath, she thinks of her children. She has never told me she missed me, but I'm being childish. She should know that if I wasn't satisfied, I wouldn't sit quietly like this. I will have to do something to goad her, to make her know. Enrique smiled to himself, but before he could say anything, Pamela entered the room. If you are taking Ivy out, you will have to hurry. It's New Year's Eve, so everywhere will be crowded, said Pamela, turning to her sister-in-law and adding, have a good time, Irie, and don't worry about your babies. I will take good care of them. Thanks, said Irie, going over to kiss the twins. Enrique's eyes shining with tenderness as he watched her. Irene made no objection as he put an arm round her shoulder and led her to the car. Enrique drove to a classy restaurant in a modern hotel right at the end of Copacabana Beach. The light was mellow with a soft breeze as the sun was already starting to sink behind the indigo mountains. The lights from the road reflected on the dark sea in the growing dusk, and before long, stars sprinkled in the velvety black sky, competing with the electric lights twinkling on skyscrapers and mansions, and the fires on the favela hillside shanties around the city. Iris sipped her wine and looked through the window at the sea, mountains, sky, and stars, silently absorbing the beauty of the scene. She paid hardly any attention to the taste of the local cuisine set before her. The proximity of the person she loved and the romantic surroundings were enough to fill her. If the meal doesn't suit you, I will order some American dishes for you, Enrique said graciously, seeing that the food on her plate had hardly been touched. How could Irene tell him her real feelings? She wasn't sure what he would think, because she had never shown or spoken of her love. Their marriage and children were both the products of duty and controlling circumstance, and it was her children who were responsible for his being here in Rio, dying and looking at the view with her, instead of going back to embrace Monica as he desired. I'm not really hungry. How have things gone on with your business? Have the employees who went on strike gone back to work yet? Irene expressed interest in the business, as she knew that, along with his babies, it was a topic that Enrique liked to talk about. The young waiter collected the plates on the table and, opening a bottle of champagne, poured it into 2 long-stem glasses. Thanks, Enrique said to him as he bowed before leaving the table. The matter is not really solved, but some people have gone back to work as normal, and in general things are going as I had hoped. When I have a skilled person to take care of things instead of me, this situation won't arise again. Oh, I said only this, but thought much more. A skilled person? Yes, the beautiful Latin woman I saw Enrique with that evening. They must be very close. She tried to hide her suspicions. "Don't you want to know who that person is?" said Enrique, looking at Irie and smiling mysteriously. "If I don't tell you now, you will misunderstand again, right?" Enrique reached over to take Irie's small white hand in his before she had time to pull it under the table and refused to release it. Irie's eyes showed displeasure, although that was far from what she was feeling in her heart. "Your brother," Enrique announced tenderly. "But then, who will take over his teaching and the business here for him? His contract at the university is renewable annually. If he doesn't want to renew it, no one will complain. The company in Rio is now making a profit. Pamela has learned an important lesson, so I think she can take responsibility for that. If there are problems, there is an advisory board to assist her. But wouldn't this mean sending Cody into a dangerous area?" Irie's voice clearly expressed her concern and worry for her brother, making Enrique want to test her out. "I wondered for a long time why you look so different from your brother. When I knew that you were not related, I understood you love your brother so much you would do anything for him. You married me to repay your debt to him. If Cody did not love Pamela so much, you would like to be in her place, wouldn't you?" I was at a loss as to how to reply. Part of what he said was true, but part was definitely not, especially what he thought about Pamela. What could she do to make him understand? "I've never thought like that. I don't love Cody in the way you think." "Then tell me the truth." Enrique's voice was stern, making Irie afraid. She did not dare to meet his eyes, but lowered her head. She wanted to cry loudly, but she could not. Why did he refuse to understand easily? Why did she have to explain in words? He had experience of so many women. Surely he could distinguish the truth from the fault. "If you turn your face away like that, how can we ever understand each other properly?" Enrique rebuked her in low, tender tones. Irene raised her face and stared back into the eyes that had long been gazing at her. A smile made his eyes shine before he raised her left hand to his lips and kissed it tenderly. "I do understand. How could I not understand how you have felt ever since the day we first met? I just wanted to test you, but now I'm sure there is no need for you to explain." Irene remained quiet, with tears stinging her eyes. "I chose Cody because I trust him more than anybody else. Your brother doesn't have to go to live in Sao Paulo, as Simone is in charge there anyway, so he can be with his family as before. Does that make you feel any better? As for the danger, I venture to guarantee that there will be no further incidents. I've spoken with the river company and learned some interesting things." "What things?" "Carlos, the son of the river company's owner, was the victim of a crucial misunderstanding. He loves Monica, but believed her to be in love with me. Monica and I were playmates. When we were children, we are very close but have never ever been in love. She confided in me that she was in love with a man, but wasn't sure if he really loved her or not. Could he really love a divorce with a child in tow so much that he would marry her? Do you remember the day in Sao Paulo when I rushed back to Rio without saying goodbye? How could she not remember? She had been upset and disappointed, thinking that his sudden departure had been in response to Monica's phone call. Carlos saw a photo of Monica, her son and I having a meal at the MamLada restaurant in the newspaper. This was the cause of his misconception. I don't know. When the journalist took our photo in secret and sent it to the papers, Monica cut it out and kept it. Carlos went to visit Monica at her home and accused her of two-timing him. After that, he kept his distance from her. Carlos dated another woman, and that really upset Monica. She didn't know what to do. When I returned to help her, she got to understand the problem and herself better. Sometimes we don't know what we want ourselves. It needs another person to help tell us. Monica is an example of this. She wants a leader in her life, not like you. You are a confident woman. You are educated and skilled. You can do what you want without other people's help. You are the first person who has ever made me doubt my own charms. His eyes gleamed brightly with affection and pride, and he seemed almost to forget where he was for a while, until he recollected himself. Monica made me promise to keep everything a secret until it was settled. On our wedding day, yes, you saw her weeping with disappointment. The truth is that she was thinking of her own unsuccessful love. Do you understand now why I couldn't explain when you accused me about this? Listen to this. I grew ashamed that she had misunderstood everything until it had almost been too late. It was lucky that he had kept their marriage certificate and had not agreed to her hasty request for divorce. How can you be sure that there will be no more problems? When we agreed to make a truce, I met Carlos. He said without thinking that I had destroyed Monica's happiness by marrying you in a flashy wedding. Then that I was parading my wife's children to Rio. See? We had to adjust to understand each other. Carlos now understands that Monica and I have only ever been close friends from childhood. We have never lost contact with each other. When Monica went to study in the States, I helped her find a place to study. We used to chat about our love life and so on. Before Monica married her American classmate, she came to ask my advice. When she divorced, it was my encouragement that got her over the worst. Monica loves me like a big brother, a friend who can advise her, and not as a lover. But to outsiders, it might have appeared that we were a loving couple. I don't care about this, because Monica and I know the truth. Carlos agreed never to disturb me again. Before long, we should hear good news about Carlos and Monica. Listening to Enrique's words made Iris feel a deep contentment that she had never experienced before, from originally getting to know him right out to the present, when she was his wife and mother of his twins. But she kept this happiness inside her heart. Her fears about Monica had disappeared, but who could be sure that there was no other woman in the shadows? When not long ago, she had seen him flitting from one woman to another. It seemed as if he was reading her thoughts like an open book. His amused smile made his face look younger and different. It was a long time since she had seen him in such a good mood. I know what you are thinking in your heart. Admit it to me openly, and believe me when I say that since I met you with your intriguing oriental face, long brown hair, and big brown eyes for the first time at Princeton, 3 years, 3 months, and 20 days ago, Your face has always been in my mind. No other woman has been able to erase the memory. I waited for the day when I could meet you again. Until that day finally came, and we met again on the beach. When you came to Rio de Janeiro for the first time, I had to hide my pleasure. I didn't care. I didn't dare show it. I remember that day in particular. I act like a playboy. I'm sure that you hated that, right? You don't have to worry. Now I love you. Te quiero muchísimo, querido. Darling, I love you. The Spanish in which he told her he loved her startled Irie, as she had been waiting to hear these words for so long. What did you say? I love you, have loved you since the day we first met. A smile spread over Enrique's face as he searched for a response in the large brown eyes, shining with obvious emotion and happiness. Heaven made us to be close together, to belong to each other. Yes, murmured Irie. It was not only Enrique who had not been able to forget. Irie had had the same problem. She still clearly remembered the nights she saw his face in her dreams. At that time, she could not understand herself. When after many days, she had started to get close to him, she had begun to understand that, in her heart, she loved him. However much she had tried to stop herself, and for whatever reason, it had been to no avail. Now, she had heard the truth from Enrique himself, so how could she not be happy that they felt the same? Irie's face was radiant with happiness, and she was confident enough to meet his gaze with eyes that expressed her love more eloquently than any words. They both would have sat staring into each other's eyes for longer if the waiter had not come to ask if they needed anything else. Iris smiled at her husband, who turned to speak in Portuguese, and before long the waiter came back with the bill. Iris saw him putting down a quesadilla or tip on the table and giving him his credit card. When the waiter came back again, he signed the receipt and gave it to Irie to put away in the square white handbag that matched her plain white outfit, with its short-sleeved loose top and calf-length gathered skirt. It was well made from lightweight, thin material that did not crease however long she sat down. Her husband was also stylishly dressed in a bright shirt and long white trousers, as was customary for men here. Ivy allowed him to put an arm around her shoulder as they walked to the front of the hotel, built right on the white sandy beach. It was almost midnight by this time, so they walked past a big crowd of tourists standing watching the events on the beach in front of them, trying to find a quiet place to sit under a palm tree not too far from the sight of others. Enrique still had his arm around her as he pointed and said, "See the voodoo?" Irene looked over to where he had pointed and saw brightly shining candle frames dotted across the beach, illuminating the dozen or more people, all clad in white, who had gathered there. What are they doing here on New Year's Eve? It is an old custom, descended from the African Slavs, who came to Brazil over 100 years ago, and still practiced by the Carioca. Every New Year's Eve, the voodoo people come and gather on this 6-kilometer stretch of beach to perform the Macamba ceremony, beseeching the gods to bless them with happiness and success over the next 12 months. They honor and respect the god of the river and sea, Iemanjá, the god of growth and harvest, Osala, and the god of evil, Esu. Between 10 and midnight, they dress in all white robes and holding fresh flowers, candles, and cachaça, the local Brazil spirit made from sugarcane. They come to perform a ceremony on the beach. Some people put a white cloth down on the sand and put little gifts on it. The type of things that will please young girls, like combs, mirrors, lipsticks, hair ribbons, perfume, and wine. They light the candle, then walk around the cloth, sinking in the light of the flickering flame. Some people bring a bouquet of fresh flowers with a paper on which they have written their wishes. Those strictly adhering to the ritual also have to bring a hen and goat to the ceremony to offer to the gods. Between the various rituals, they dance to the rhythm of the drums, which are being beaten all the time. Standing listening to his explanation with interest, I was startled by the sound of fireworks suddenly being set off simultaneously and shrunk into Enrique's arm for protection. Realizing the cause of the noise, she tried to move away again, but Enrique would not give her liberty, and so she had to stand watching the magical firework display, encircled by the arms of the man who she was now sure that she loved with all her heart. The sound of fireworks died away, and people rushed to the edge of the waves to offer up the things that they had brought to the gods. The belief that these presents will get to the gods if they leave them at the water's edge at midnight and wait until the third wave that breaks on the beach carries them back into the water. That shows that the gods have accepted the gifts and are pleased to grant in return all the things they had asked for. See? Everyone is smiling and returning home at ease. And if the wave brings the gifts back to the beach again, what does that mean? If that happens, it is a bad omen. But don't worry. Nowadays, each wave is stronger than the one before and is able to carry all the gifts back into the sea. So there is no chance of a bad omen. There are many other things that you must learn, but don't change for my sake. It's best if you stay just as you are. He put an arm round her shoulder as he finished speaking, and they made their way back to the hotel where they had parked their car.